Man, hey, that theme is fire, bro. I like that. I
Man,
like that.
I know people be telling me, man, the theme. I like the intro. Man.
Fire. New Cabrico.
Yeah,
Fire.
bro.
Hey, man.
Get me hyped every time.
Bro, welcome to the Brothers of Destruction. I'm on the Shogun, the Ninja Assassin.
Yep, and it's your boy, Saber Rocks.
And we are the Brothers of Destruction, man. This is a parallel universe where we get to talk all things sci-fi, action, horror, and indie films that slip above the radar. And today we're going to be talking about the soft reboot of Candyman, directed by Nia DaCosta and produced by Jordan Peele, man.
The spiritual sequel to the original movie. So not necessarily a true sequel, because they took the first movie and was like, okay, these events happened, this has happened, this happened, this happened, but also this. So they took something, they expanded upon it. Yeah. And we got more than I thought we were ever going to get. Like, I love how there's not just one Candyman. It's like a legacy thing now. I thought that was dope. They executed it perfectly.
Okay, so we obviously started with our good. This is dope.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump off of that too. So basically, I thought this movie did a good job of building the urban legend and retelling it and then giving us new information while retreading the old legacy.
Yes.
So that was pretty dope. And they spent a nuanced time on building this urban legend and then people having different points of view of what went down and how people were affected at different points in time in the history.
Yes. I like how,
it was great.
Depending on if you was there when it happened and you just heard the story, you had a completely different form of events that happened. Like, remember they thought it was the lady going crazy and stuff like that, killing everybody, but then everyone that was there knew that it was really Candyman.
Yeah.
I like that.
And they acknowledged the stuff that happened in the 1992 film as well, but it was the driving force and hunger to know the history due to Yahya Abdul's character, who unlocked everything because he was finding himself in his professional work, being an artist and a photographer.
He was doomed from the jump.
Yeah, but it's like he couldn't escape it because he found his calling basically, and it was like, dang, you got to do what you love, but then sometimes doing what you love can get you killed, and I guess that's kind of the moral of the story.
You could kind of see his descent into madness, like how he was so excited about his art being noticed rather than the people dying.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, nigga, you knew that this Candyman would come and kill people. You was telling everybody to say it in the mirror. And then when you found out Candyman was real, rather than tell people to stop saying it, you go oh, I think I brought him back. Fix it.
Yeah. And at this point, there was nothing he could do because he was trying to dig more deeper.
He'd already made it sensational.
Yeah.
It's just like today's kids. They doing all these challenges and stuff. They had the Candyman challenge in the mirror and stuff at school.
So it's kind of like a trend of social injustice and then a trend of living in denial. Everybody was doing something, but they had some kind of guilt as to what was going on just because of the fact that they knew what was going on.
Exactly.
But tried to ignore it and wash it under the rug. And another thing I liked about this movie was the little paper puppeteer storytelling.
Oh my God, the way the
storyboard with the paper,
so
that was very
creepy
unique.
But engaging.
Yeah, it was very interesting. It was like a dark Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, if you will. And how they used this with this very
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah, this very small budget using papers and pencils and sticks and stuff like that was really cool. And those scenes were all the urban legend moments of the storytelling of what was to happen and what has happened. I like that, and I like the nuance and how they did the overseas sky shots. What they were showing the cinematography with the buildings and how they were showing the slums. It was dark, it was hunting, but yet it was beautiful at the same time. How they captured the gentrification slums. It still had a beautiful look to it, even though it was hunting and burned down and destroyed. It was so much style in this movie as far as the directing, I have to say.
Oh my God, the cinematography was dope.
Yeah.
So we're not dealing with the OG Candyman. There's technically a new Candyman, the mute homeless guy with the hook for the hand that used to give people candy. And I gotta say, man, he's a
great actor.
He's a great actor, and Tony Todd got OG status, but this Candyman was physically scarier than OG Candyman Tony Todd. And
he had a little bit more time, too. I thought the killing murder scenes were very creative, very stylized, very, well done.
The scene with the white lady, they zoom out on the apartment, you think she's okay.
Right.
And all of a sudden, she just gets lifted up and just dragged across the window.
No score, just silence. Just silent death.
Worked.
And it was amazing.
All the death scenes were great and greatly executed in this whole movie.
They were well shot and very subtle. They didn't oversell it. Because when it happened, it was oh damn, that really just went down. And then it was to the next scene, and then something happened again. So I thought the pacing was very even as far as the drama, the suspense, and then the character moments. I like how everybody was connected to Yahya Abdul's character as he was slowly going into madness, and then as he started to change, everyone else around him started to change, and then they started to reveal what they knew. So all the true colors started to come out.
That's what made the pacing so good, because you're learning as the characters learn. Like, you don't know it beforehand, so it leaves you like wondering and stuff like that. They find out, you find out.
I guess let's jump into the bad. You go ahead. Go first.
Man, this movie gave me everything I wanted from the movie, man. The only bad that I have is, even though Tony Todd is in the movie, he does reprise his role as Candyman.
Yeah.
We don't get enough of him. You actually only see him as the ending scene. It's like, I refuse to believe that they brought him in and paid him what they needed to pay him to reprise his role only for that scene. So I'll definitely be buying the DVD, Blu-ray for something. Hopefully some extended scenes with him.
Okay, I can get with that. Yeah, that's probably a part of my negative too. I wish the opening intro where it took place in the 1977, I wish we had got a little bit like 15 or 20 more minutes of that setup, because I thought that time period was a perfect place to really set up the foundation of Candyman in that era. And I felt like they kind of rushed it due to get to the soft reboot aspect of it, and I understand that. But it was something groundbreaking about seeing the child and what was going on then with the family, and how everyone was just like dysfunctional and what was happening then. Because in that time, people were just kind of ignoring it. They weren't trying to fight it. They weren't trying to stop it. They were just trying to live and survive and get through the day. Today, people know what's going on, and they're trying to change it and gentrify it. So the way of thinking and the way of business has changed. So I thought they should have spent more time on that and then move to the present, maybe 15, 20 minutes, because when the movie starts off, it feels very different from the rest of the movie.
True.
Due to it being rushed, because you think you're going to see Tony Todd in the beginning. They set it up perfectly, but then you get the payoff at the end. But then at the end, he feels like a fan service cameo. And it works.
Yeah, he didn't feel like a character.
He should have been in the beginning.
He absolutely felt like a fan service cameo, and it's like, nah.
Because if this is a direct sequel to the 1992 film, then you should have started with that,
Well, they did say spiritual sequel, meaning it's a soft reboot, meaning they wanted to follow the original story, but not.
And they did.
Not acknowledge all of the more unpopular events in the sequel.
Right. And they do a good job of that. But that's really my only...
But to keep it a whole buck, in their defense, if they would have gave us Tony Todd for the jump, we would have never wanted to see the new Candyman.
But that's not true though, because we got multiple ones in different timelines.
And I want to say that. So so they did establish there's technically 3-4 Candymans. Yeah. There's 1800s, 1920s, 1950s, and 1977. So 5 if we count all of them in the movie. So, but it was really 4 until the end. We only really got Tony Todd and then the 1970s guy.
Yeah.
I would have loved scenes where it showed a little, like, not the puppet stuff, but actual scenes of every Candyman in their generation. That would have been
cool.
I wonder if that exists.
Maybe that could be a sequel. Because this feels like this is the beginning of something.
This movie did kind of sequel bait at the end as well.
And I have to say, I liked all the characters. I thought everybody played their roles well. They brought a very interesting social commentary, and that's not a surprise if you know how Jordan Peele gets down with his storytelling. Due to this being an all-black cast, it is gratifying and satisfying and rewarding, because they do it in a nuanced and organic way where it's not as preachy. And I know people may feel like it is, but coming into a horror film like this, I can't look at it as woke. I have to play devil's advocate and say that horror has always had social commentary from decades back in the day. This is a new thing, and if you're a new person coming in, then you really don't understand the ideals behind horror storytelling. Horror was never woke. Horror always had social commentary. But they're just taking it to the next level.
Anybody complaining about that is a fake fan. The very first Candyman movie is about racism.
Right. So
they killed him because he was a black guy.
You got to take it as it is.
Yeah.
And I love that they really pushed it and excelled it, because there is a story in that, and it is current to what's going on today.
For sure.
But that wasn't the point behind it. But that was the history of Candyman as a whole.
Right.
So they had to utilize that and bring it into the 21st century, and that's where they deliver it, and that's where it's in the strength.
And it wasn't ham-fisted. They put the medicine in the candy. It's just sprinkled along a very good, very well-paced, organic story. And you're going to be so excited by the kills, you ain't even going to be thinking about that. Like I said, man, this Candyman was vicious. I loved how he wasn't physically there unless you summon him. You could only see him, but you really wouldn't. he wasn't there to everybody like in the original movies.
Yeah.
If he killed somebody, you would see.
Right.
You only see like the person being pulled up by the hook or slash. The only way to really see him is the same way to summon him. So it became this game in the movie where you're looking for him in all the reflections and mirrors and stuff like that. And I love how they give you these wide shots throughout the movie so you can do that. So when it's a character close up, well, you're not even looking at the character. You're looking over the shoulder to see if you can see Candyman in the reflection of the mirror. And it gave you that so many times. And it's like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
The cinematography and the choreography behind all those kills were on point.
Yeah.
A+.
The soundtrack was good too. I thought the score was very ominous, very ambitious, and had this like very like subtle orchestra.
Yes.
And then it had like little beats here and there, like it was urban, but it was classic. Very, very ominous. Like it was very cool. And then went with the scenes. Let's give one of our favorite scenes. I'll let you start, man. What's your favorite scene from the movie?
Honestly, man, my favorite scene was one of the creepiest ones, and that's when he's in the elevator. No, not the elevator scene, I'm sorry. The creepiest scene to me, they did something great here. They followed the horror movie formula where you don't fully show the monster yet.
Yeah.
So this Candyman, who's not our original Tony Todd, but could kind of favor him in the face with
Sure.
body language a little bit.
Yeah.
He's a new guy, and they didn't really show his face. He was all beat up by the police. So when you finally got to see the full version of him, I was disgusted and like creeped. Like, look at. He's a scene where he's making the same movements and kind of realizing that he's gonna become Candyman, and that's the first time you get to like close up. You see all his jagged like cuts in his lip where they were beating with the baton, and you're like, oh my God, that scene was dope because it was horrifying.
It was a representation of the pain and suffering that he had endured throughout history,
Yes.
and I like that.
Yes.
And that's what made him stronger, because him being Candyman was like he can overcome. Like, if you guys are gonna do this, I'm already dead, but I'm gonna punish those.
So yes, for me, something
deserve
about
it.
just being able to see the new Candyman up close, like, oh dang, I love that.
Okay, so I'm gonna say one of my favorite scenes is probably when the raid goes to the apartment building where they got gentrified, and the girlfriend summons him after she watches her boyfriend get killed, and the cop gives her an ultimatum, basically giving her two different alibi stories to run with, and she's like, I'm gonna put the mirror on me, and I'll tell you whatever I want. So she summoned Candyman and watched her boyfriend come back from the dead and take out these crooked cops in this slum neighborhood. And basically, at that moment, she was at peace and accepted that he was Candyman because he knew that she was a good person.
She saw the bigger picture, like,
Yeah.
because they were trying to create a new Candyman, and she thought he was crazy. But then once that happened, she was like, oh, we do need a Candyman.
Right.
And that is immediately followed by, I guess, my second favorite scene in the movie is the Tony Todd cameo, where he literally physically, like the bees, eat his flesh and reform his face as the Tony Todd Candyman. And he looks at the camera, he says, like, tell everybody. Total sequel bait, but I'm here for it.
I'm cool. It's a good way to go in.
He wants his story retold because he's been forgotten about.
Bigger. Yeah. I will say that I hope that if they do go forward, having Tony Todd in more scenes, maybe flashbacks or present, will be kind of cool, though, because now you can just use that boogeyman factor. We know he still exists. We know he's still around. We know he's pissed off. So why not run with it? And then it's still Yahya Abdul's movie.
Right.
But have Tony there as like a mentor. It's like a stick almost.
I'm here for it, but I don't know. I think if I saw a sequel, I think I would just want to see like whole new characters, but like maybe he's back and then he's playing with the legends and stuff like that. I would totally take that. All right, man. So we said the good, we said the bad, man. You ready to grade this bad boy?
Yeah. Before we do the grade, I wanted to say I love the callbacks to Vanessa Williams being in the movie, because she was the center pole of the connective tissue to the original movie. Yes. And Virginia Madsen, shout out to her and her audio cameo. That was pretty dope.
Amazing.
Yeah, so now we're going to get to our grade, man. What you got, man? You go ahead and go first.
Man, this was, again, another one of those movies that gave me exactly what I wanted. It wasn't perfect, but I got exactly what I wanted from it. However, I felt there was things missing. There was a few things built up in certain scenes that they kind of seemed to cut away from, and I wonder if that still exists on the cutting room floor. I will be buying the Blu-ray because I want the director's cut, so I got to go with a 9.
Okay. I wanted a little bit more in the beginning introduction with the building up the whole historic factor, but it still is a good payoff, but it did kind of feel like a different movie in the beginning. But overall, as a standalone and as a complete whole package, I think the movie is very well written. It's very well directed. The acting was strong. The scenery was good. The suspense was great. The tension was there. I was constantly engaged. I was
great
on
atmosphere.
edge. Yeah, you can feel Jordan Peele's presence in here as a producer and a co-writer, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what Nia DaCosta does moving forward. I think she has a great eye for suspense and storytelling and social commentary. I would love to see her do action, thriller, whatever it is, but she has a great eye in this genre of horror, and she did a great job of bringing Candyman to 2021. I know that was not an easy task, and for that, I got to give this a B+.
I want a sequel.
Yeah, I definitely want to see more, and I'm gonna definitely watch this movie again.
We giving letter grades, number grades? Because I gave a number grade.
No, you do what you do, because that's like a B almost.
I'll give it an A-.
All right. So like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. B+ for me, man, and A- for you. That's our review, man. Thank you for watching and subscribing. This is the Brothers of Destruction, parallel universe into action, sci-fi, and horror, and all things indie movies that slip under the radar. Don't forget to like, share, thumbs the video up, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I'm Ronin Shogun, the Ninja Assassin.
It's your boy, the Firestarter himself, Sable Rocks.
And we are the Brothers of Destruction.
Go see Candyman.